below the bustling city. The air is thick with dust and the scent of decay. Oliver Hadden makes his way down into the subway tunnels, torch flickering like a tiny lighthouse in an ocean of darkness. The city hums above, its rhythms vibrating through concrete and steel. But down here, silence holds its own. The only sound is the echo of Oliver's footsteps, hollow and solitary. Oliver's task is straightforward. He must locate the source of a recurrent electrical problem. The lights have been flickering for weeks, erratically bathing the tunnels in periodic blackouts. His radio clipped to his belt emits a low hum. It's comforting in its own way, a reminder of the world outside these oppressive walls. Yet something about the quiet, the isolation, the utter relinquishment of sunlight unsettles him. He kneels beside a junction box, tools in hand, and begins inspecting the wires. Their insulation is cracked and brittle, whispering tales of neglect. With methodical precision, Oliver removes a pliers from his toolkit, intent on restoring order. He senses the oppressiveness beginning to smother him, a weight that presses in from the damp earth and concrete walls. As Oliver works, a disconcerting sensation tingles down his spine, a feeling of being watched. It's irrational, he tells himself. These tunnels are abandoned save for the occasional inspection rounds, yet the sensation persists, a creeping discomfort that won't be shaken off. With a mix of annoyance and unease, Oliver shakes his head to dispel the feeling and focuses on his task. Just then, a sound disrupts the silence, the crunch of gravel beneath feet. An involuntary shiver courses through him at the unexpected noise. He stands, flashlight casting wild arcs as he turns, seeking the source of the sound. But the tunnel remains still, empty save for the tangibly unnerving darkness pressing against the outer limits of the feeble light. He fights the impulse to call out, knowing the echo will only amplify his uncertainty. Instead, Oliver listens intently, straining to catch any hint of movement. With tension coiled in every muscle, he returns to his work, though the comforting monotony of maintenance has been shattered and replaced by foreboding. Oliver resumes his task. The flashlights beam a lonely sentinel in the tunnel's suffocating black. With each wire he mends, the uneasy feeling grows stronger, like an itch in his mind he cannot reach. Distractions multiply. Behind him, the suspicious shifting of shadows seems to mock his efforts, and every small noise amplifies, hanging in the air before dissipating into silence. Midway through reconnecting a second junction, Oliver's radio blasts static, crackling unnervingly in the loneliness of the tunnel. He jumps involuntarily, the small device now a source of both irritation and fear. Frantic adjustments produce no reprieve from the interference, only irregular pulses of sound that suggest the whispers of the unseen. Combining his breath with sporadic breaths of stillness, Oliver struggles to calm his racing heart. The comforting spell of reason unravels replaced by paranoia about what lies beyond the concrete veil. Each minute that passes heightens the surreal nature of where he stands, as though the heart of darkness beckons him irrevocably deeper into its haunted embrace. The deeper into the tunnel Oliver goes, the more oppressive the atmosphere becomes. It almost feels as if the very walls are closing in upon him, stealing breaths from the limited air. Precarious silence ensues, thick enough to grasp in one's hands, a silence interrupted only by the relentless hum of his radio, now eerily comforting. Suddenly, the lights flicker again, plunging him briefly into darkness. In that split second of nothingness, Oliver is thrown into a world that feels entirely removed from reality, a place of encroaching dread. When light returns, it's weaker, as if part of it has been siphoned off into the void that now lingers in his mind. Desperation compels him to speak. "Hello," he calls out hoarsely into the gloom, voice barely carrying. The echo arrives back lush, endearing and mocking. It's then he knows he's no longer listening for footsteps. He's waiting in trepidation for something he can neither see nor understand to reveal its presence. Oliver finds himself wading through a deeper void, his resolve shaking with each step further into the tunnel's belly. The environment seems charged, pulsating with a life of its own that defies the logic of neglected infrastructure. Yet within this pulsating life, an underlying deathliness pervades, a resonance of something deeply wrong but unnamed. He reaches another junction box and pauses, hand trembling slightly as he attempts to steady himself, every fiber of his being attuned to his surroundings. He hears whispers, fleeting and incoherent at first, then gathering urgency, a relentless crescendo that surges ahead and retreats into incomprehensible silence. Frozen, Oliver's flashlight casts a dim glow over the wires, distorted shadows lurking like specters out of view. He edges backward, senses overridden by a cacophony of noise and silence, struggling to remember if it was only his imagination or some sinister presence guiding his descent. For the first time, he senses this tunnel is not empty, and he's not alone. Deep in the darkness, Oliver's radio spontaneously emits a high-pitched signal, a static rhythm cutting through the dim hush like a siren's call from the abyss. The sound demands attention, escalating his unease into renewed paranoia, mixing the faux comfort of familiar noise with a surge of unnatural threat. He grips the radio tightly, attempting to mute the aggravating interference with little success. Each static burst feels synchronized with the beat of his heart, every pulse shadowed by an intangible malevolence that gnaws at his reason. With chilling realization, Oliver notes he's no longer sure if the radio serves as a lifeline or a harbinger. In an attempt to flee the high-pitched resonance, Oliver moves deeper into the corridors. The darkness beyond feels leaderless, guided by its hunger for fear, inviting him into its depths, while the unknown grows less unseen and more tangible with every step. Oliver's journey forward is impeded by the environment's grip, tightening around his psyche, vivid imaginations, birthed from fears and elusive shadows. He questions the safety of these pathways, overwhelmed by the persistent feeling of eyes watching his every move with immeasurable malevolence. With the static growing fainter, Oliver wonders if he has transitioned into a place beyond the ordinary layers of the tunnels he's navigated for years. His mind fixates on the threshold between reality and what lurks beneath, a place tucked within the shadows themselves. The whispering voices creep closer once more, lyrical and steady, as though a chorus rises from the deepest places. The remnants of Oliver's rational mind clash against the hypnotic allure of these unseen voices, drawing him further from the familiar embrace of light and sanity. Time loses meaning within the subterranean labyrinth as Oliver ventures deeper. Each successive step feels fraught with intangible threads linking him to this unknowable realm, pulling him inexorably toward its core. The tunnel seems to inhale, every constriction a silent scream begging to be heard. His flashlight betrays him again, flickering weakly before casting him into yet another interval of oppressive darkness. The blackout is profound, an abyss that swallows all semblance of safety and renders Oliver a mere whisper lost amidst the cacophony of static and silence. Emerging from the void, the lights are still too dim, shadows lengthening into grotesque parodies of their true selves. But there, amidst the decay, Oliver catches a movement just beyond the light's reach. Finally, suspicion gives way to certainty. He knows he's not alone in the darkness and feels the presence approach. Step by deliberate step, Oliver confronts the fear long held at bay by shreds of logic and reason. A presence, a being whose aspect is profoundly rooted within the shadowed sanctum. It manifests as a figure traced by darkness, insubstantial yet inescapable, a breach within the sanity of sight, an essence more texture than shape. It lingers at the edge of vision, where light refuses to tread and the mind's whispers grow deafening. Oliver cannot recall the details of its form, but its essence, its very weight, suffuses the air with thickened dread that flirts with madness. Inexplicably, Oliver feels compelled to reach out, to bridge the breach between him and the manifest void, a dual call of fear and fascination. Here lies the spine of the tunnels, and too perhaps of who he's become, drawn inexorably toward the end of a journey into darkness itself. As Oliver extends his hand, the entity's essence grows palpable, and the corridor's malevolence reaches a fever pitch. Tendrils of darkness curl like vaporous fingers seeking their mark, only to pass through flesh and bone, bringing no harm but leaving unforgettable cold. His flashlight quivers, the dying bulb unable to withstand the oppressive miasma coiling around him. Light rends itself, twisting and flickering in the embrace of its own failing energy. Oliver, bathed in strobe-like pangs, stands paralyzed at the precipice of understanding more terrifying than ignorance. Senses betray him, one moment unveiling corridors of infinite depth, the next shrinking them to solitary confinement. The walls echo with cries lost before time, and his radio resonates eerily, now eerily silent, compounding despair with the ghost whispers that haunt this cursed place.